Hey, hello. You're stuck in traffic with Wolf Gorlick. A couple-minute riff on IT and IT security. And it is December, the season of changes. Right as our year ends and a new year begins, everyone's doing their own gap assessment, both in their personal and professional lives. And I find myself looking at a lot of security roadmaps. We had planned to do this, and we accomplished that. And next year, we are thinking about doing this and finishing that. And one of the conversations I recently had was about change management and the importance of change management and the priority of that versus control management, right? Or control monitoring. So, as we all know, criminals break in. And the first thing they do is they change something, right? They either install some software to further their attack and pivot, or they modify a system for persistence, or they otherwise make changes on a system that can be detected in order to continue on their attack and eventually complete the theft or disruption. So the ability to detect those changes is paramount. And not only that, now we're talking about criminals here, but let's face it, a lot of disruption comes from internal. Anywhere from 60 to 70%, depending on the statistic and how it's measured, of major breaches have a internal component. Someone has configured something incorrectly, someone has set up a wrong business process, someone has not done appropriate diligence and exfiltrated out the data and left it somewhere public. It happens all the time. So not only do we need to know about what the criminals are doing, 40% of all breaches, but we also need to know what our own internal people are doing, 60% of all breaches. Now, given that, change management would seem paramount. We want to know when anything changes, anything at all. Now, here's where two productivity philosophies come together. The first is, Covey, right? Covey had this concept of sphere of influence and sphere of control, and the overlap being where you should act. Sphere of influence is where you can have direct influence over or direct control over the problem, and sphere of concern is whatever you're worried about, whatever you're concerned about, whatever you have to do. The second one is the 4-hour work week, right? With Ferris, and Ferris had this concept of a low information diet, and that was, hey, we've got a lot to know. How can we restrict the information coming to us to the extent that we're only getting the information we need to make good decisions and to take appropriate actions to effect change? So my concern about traditional change management lies in those two areas if done inappropriately. One is, do you really have enough influence to get change management in place? Or are there multiple IT departments? Is there shadow IT? Is there consumer IT? Is there bring your own whatever? That would preclude a full comprehensive change management process from taking into effect, right? Do you have the ability to act on it? And if so, great, go for it. But if not, then prioritizing change management might be an issue because you're not going to actually be able to do it. You're going to spend a lot of time having to pull a lot of levers to get it done. Pull a lot of levers meaning political levers. The other one is low information diet. So much like threat management, if you get tons and tons of information coming at you, how do you respond? If you look at every single log, you're going to drive yourself insane, which is why we do threat modeling and prioritization. Likewise, if you look at every single change, and I know this because I try to do this in way too much, right? Thousands of files change every day. If you want, and you're an IT person, download sysinternals, watch the registry, watch the file system, just monitoring or running simple apps. You'd be amazed at the level of changes. Sifting through that and knowing what the criminal element is doing or what someone internally is doing that caused an issue is incredibly difficult. So change management suffers from perhaps a lack of our being able to influence it, and suffers from a lack of control over how much information we're getting. Needs to be done, so we'll talk about compliance monitoring in another video as an alternative. Have a good one.